Hello everyone, my name is Callum Ritchie and I'm a corporate solicitor here at the Jonathan Lea Network. Today we're going to be exploring about how a buyer can ensure they pay a fair price for a target business. One method that buyers commonly use is through the operation and use of completion accounts. Now often parties agree a specific valuation for a business based on financials that they've been presented with, usually the target accounts or management accounts. However, often the business's value can fluctuate between the signing of the heads of terms and completion. Completion accounts can come in at this stage and they can help adjust the final price so that it reflects the business's actual value at the point of completion. So what exactly are completion accounts and why are they so important? Completion accounts are financial statements prepared shortly after a transaction completes. They provide a real-time snapshot of a target's financial health and value at the time of completion. Typically, these accounts include a balance sheet showing the company's assets and liabilities, a profit and loss statement showing the performance of the target over a set period of time, and calculations of the target's working capital and net debt. Once these figures are confirmed and they are compared to pre-agreed benchmarks, if there are differences, purchase price will be adjusted accordingly. So why are completion accounts so important? The buyer will often agree a value for the target business based on past financials. However, the target's value can often fluctuate before closing due to various factors. For example, a drop in working capital can indicate the target is suffering with liquidity issues, meaning the business is less valuable. A rise in liabilities can lead to the buyer taking on unexpected debt, and higher than expected cash reserves can indicate the target is performing better than expected, and as a result, the seller probably deserves more. Completion accounts ensure that the buyer isn't overpaying for a target that has deteriorated financially up to completion, while conversely, it also allows the seller to receive more of the purchase price if the target is performing better than expected. Now, how can a buyer ensure that these adjustments are fair and accurate? There are a few key protections that they can put in place. First is through incorporating clear accounting policies. The buyer should ensure that the purchase agreement drawn up includes a detailed description of the accounting standards and methods to be applied when preparing the completion accounts. This reduces the risk of disputes over interpretation. Secondly, appointing an independent accountant or auditor to review the completion accounts ensures objectivity and accuracy. This gives the buyer confidence that the adjustments that are being made are accurate and that it's not just the seller's perspective. Lastly, the buyer should clearly define how and what will happen where the mechanisms are utilised in the agreement. For example, if working capital is below an agreed threshold, then the purchase price should automatically be reduced by that shortfall. Lastly, even with the best prepared completion accounts, disputes can often arise. There should be a dispute resolution mechanism within the purchase agreement to highlight and govern what happens should a dispute arise. For example, ensuring that an objective third-party accountant verifies the completion accounts on behalf of both parties, ensures that any disputes are settled quickly and that disputes do not continue for a prolonged period of time. There are three main types of adjustments that the completion accounts will typically aim to address. The first one is working capital adjustments. Working capital is the difference between the target's current assets and its current liabilities. If working capital of the target is lower than expected, you can normally expect to receive a reduction in the purchase price if you are the buyer. If the working capital is higher than expected, the seller will often expect to receive an increase in the purchase price. You also have net debt adjustments. The purchase price will often be calculated on a cash-free, debt-free basis. However, if debt at completion is higher than expected, the price will typically be reduced. Conversely, if debt is lower and there's more cash than expected and less liabilities, the seller could get a boost in price. Lastly, there are other adjustments. These typically cover other financial elements agreed upon in the contract, such as tax liabilities and unusual expenses. Completion accounts provide a safeguard for both buyers and sellers, ensuring that the final price paid reflects the true financial position of the target at the time of completion. By structuring the agreement properly, carrying out thorough due diligence, and including financial experts, a buyer can ensure that they do not overpay for a target and ensure that the deal overall is a fair deal. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for part 2, where I will be talking about these lockbox mechanisms in business acquisitions.